looking in today we'll be looking into channels growth as part of our Navigate series. Okay, I am Wei Fung here. Currently, I'm cooped up in the ASQ hotel in Thailand because of my work. So that's why I get some time to actually organize this to bring to you some of the experts. And tonight, to kickstart the Navigate mini series, which is a free 30 minutes live stream, I'm very happy to have with me here Mr. Gerald Lee. Okay, Gerald, say hi.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are.
Okay, because it's global, right? OMG Rich.
Yeah, we are global. Exactly.
Okay, so Gerald will give a little bit background on himself. The reason I'm having him here today because he is formerly from Unilever, handling a lot of FMCG, fast-moving consumer goods, and also he is very experienced in also the telcos industries. And currently, he's also handling a daily use product, where he'll share a bit more on how he manages it for the countries where he's in. And myself, actually, Wei Fung, for those who know me, I'm actually ex-Ericsson and formerly Sony Ericsson as well. So I bring with me the experience sharing from both the telcos, the mobile phone industries, as well as currently I'm handling a lot of product certification in regards to cross-border trade, compliance, those engineerings, which other session will bring to you. So let me very quickly share the screen to go into channels growth. All right, so under the Navigate mini series, our aim is to actually strategize and help people to expand their business. Therefore, Gerald, maybe you can let us know a bit on what is this so-called channels growth.
Yeah, well, I think first thing first, I have been in corporate world for the last 20 over years, right? Yes, as what Wei Fung has mentioned, I've been with FMCG, I've been with telcos, and I've been with many corporate and MNCs company as well, managing many brands, right? And my last stint was actually managing FMCG startup. Yeah. So again, I think today's session is on channel growth, where I'll be sharing very quickly about channel management, right? And also the channel where, especially in today's environment, where the growth is going to come from, right? And I'm really happy that there's many of you who are here today joining us in our Navigate mini series. Today is actually the inaugural mini series, right?
To kickstart, yeah. Besides of course, the Facebook Live, we also have people joining through the Zoom, but those are more for our members, certain members from our group, affiliate groups, all those are. So there will be questions coming in from the Zoom site as well as from the FB Live. So for those FB Live one, we try to as much possible reply to you. If not, you just leave a comment in the comment section, and we'll come back to you on those questions. Okay, those answers are all right. So under here, so what are the channels normally we are familiar with and we are not familiar with? So a lot of people, if you are doing e-commerce site or this, you are very much into e-commerce. You don't know about the rest. So you may want to know more about this offline or what we call the traditional channels. Okay, and also from the other side, those with brick and mortar, they would like to know more about online marketplaces or those. So probably just a quick one, Gerald. So what are the keywords and the important things to look out for in terms of channels?
Well, basically, I think first thing first, let's try to define channels, right? In a layman's term, I think channel is purely a way or a method or a outlet where the product and services are reached to our customers, right? So again, it's a quick look at this chart. You'll find that there's plenty of channels, right? In the past, before the e-commerce site was popularized, basically everything went through a brick and mortar. Brick and mortar basically is your provision outlets, your pub and mom shops, right? And then of course there are the hypermarkets, the mini supers, the convenience channel come into picture, right? Then again, if you look at the environment right now, because of the pandemic, e-commerce, online marketplace has become a brand new channel. Of course, in the past, they were already there, but it was not as apparent as now. And of course, now you have the social media networks, you have the word of mouth, which continues to be extremely important, right? And so all these are actually channels whereby companies, right, which are offering products and services, optimizes all these channels to ensure that their products and services reaches their consumer base or even their customer base per se. Yeah.
So word of mouth is actually something like peer marketing to you?
Yes, it is. It's something like viral marketing, right?
Okay.
Because about I telling 2%, the 2% tells another 4 people, the 4 people tells another 8 people. End of the day, it's just a channel per se, right? Of a service reaching the customers. Of course, they have not bought anything yet, but again, it's just creating awareness, creating the excitement in the minds of the customers. Yeah.
Yeah. So we also know that this channel is very important because it's 3 times more effective and costs less cost than getting a new customer, right? Through word of mouth referral. Okay, what what will be the priority? Because right now, before the pandemic and after the pandemic, so what's the difference now? Where do we prioritize whether we want to go offline or we want to go online? What is your advice to the people who is developing their business now?
Well, I think it very much depends on the business that they are in and of course their distribution strategy, right? There are products, of course, that goes through the offline method, which is the brick and mortar. And of course, there are also products and services that goes through online, right? Of course, in today's world, in today's times as well, you'll find that a lot of businesses has pivoted or transitioning themselves from the offline to online. However, if you look at the contribution to the business or contribution to the channel, it is still very heavily towards the offline because the brick and mortar still continues to be a very, very important channel, right? So again, it's not about where you're prioritizing or which channel should you focus. It depends on the products. And again, if you look at the offline online mode, you'll find that products and services on the online platform has to be differentiated. Otherwise, there's no differentiation between online and offline, right? So one thing is, if you are intending to go offline, a few key areas that you should take in consideration. Number one is, of course, in terms of your product offerings. Do you want to have the same product offerings online and offline? Number two, in terms of the pricing and of course, in terms of promotions, do you want to have similar promotions in the offline mode or online, right? And number three, of course, is understanding your consumers, right? Where do they purchase? What are their purchasing habits? Are they very much into an offline mode or an online mode? So again, these questions are what a company should take into consideration, right? And again, it's understanding them would then define which channel should be the priority. Yeah.
Okay. So then the other thing that's online sometimes is possible to do something like a combo mixed, like what is being offered in offline. Is it gonna be better? That means you have more products mixed rather than like one single one or two products where the value of the basket size is going to be lower. So do you encourage them to do all those combo mix?
Well, I think combo mix is definitely something that can be done both online and offline. Again, I think the question is, what about fulfillment? Is it easier to fulfill a combo deal offline and online? Again, if you look at a combo deal, let's say A plus B for X price, you can do it in a retail outlet. Is it easier for customers to actually buy those products? And is it easier for the retailer to fulfill those products versus it to be done online, right? So again, it's both channels, it is still possible. However, I would still like to caution that for both channels, the combo meals, all the offerings should be differentiated. Otherwise, there is no reason why should a consumer go online and purchase it, or a consumer, on the other hand, go offline and purchase it, right? So it's all about differentiation in terms of the offerings and in terms of the proposition.
There is always this thing where they say if they go online, there's a lot of margins are being earned by the e-marketplace, all those things. Is there a big difference, huge difference between the offline where you need to pay rental or those versus the e-marketplace? What do you think? Is there a balance? So what's your advice to all those providers or sellers?
Well, I think in terms of terms, in terms of support, right? Of course, offline and online is very, very different. The rates are very different. If you're offline, if you go into a normal provision or traditional channel retail outlets, in most cases, the investment is close to bare minimal, right? If you go to the probably the more modern retail, then of course, there's a lot more support that you need to put in place, and most of these customers are extremely demanding, right? However, if you move to online, the charges will be very, very different, because a lot of things is, I mean, you don't really have a physical placement. You don't really have a physical planogram, where if you go into the modern retail, that's where certain customers are charging the manufacturers or the suppliers for it, right? So as far as as far as the investment is concerned, it's actually very, very different. And at times on an online mode, it could be even more, it could be more affordable. Yeah, for customers or for retailers that are extremely small, they can actually go on the online mode rather than pay through their nose per se, right? In a retail outlet. Yeah.
Okay. Then drawing from your past experience handling like a Wonda coffee, Pepsi, you know, those kind of FMCG, those daily products, all those are things, necessities. So where to place? Let's say I have a product. So how do you like plan where to place this? Whether is it going to be online or Tesco's? Can you just give us an overview about all these different channels, the jargons you all use, so that the business, small businesses, they are more aware?
All right. Again, if this goes back to a distribution strategy of that particular company. In most cases, most companies will definitely go on the traditional channel, right? Whereby is the standard mom and pop shops, right? People like Alimina, your ABC outlets, your Akau Abu outlets per se, right? Of course, you're the Tesco of the world, the Giants of the world, the Aeons, and so on and so forth. But this more to the modern retail. Then, of course, you're the Alibaba, the Lazada, Shopees, which very much the e-commerce or the online marketplace, right? So again, it very much depends on the company's, support, the AME funds, and the investment they're willing to fork out to have their product on the shelf of a retailer, right? So in normal circumstances, if the company is relatively new, it could be a startup, relatively new, who have a brand new product where it's untested in the market, right? And you don't want to spend a lot of money. If you don't have a lot of budget in terms of listing fees, then I would definitely suggest you go to the traditional business, which is the Ali, Anna, Abu provision outlets, right? Where it is still the biggest chunk in the market.
Convenience stores, right?
Not really. I'm not looking at convenience store. It's more about provision outlets, provision stores.
Provisional outlets, okay.
Yeah, provision stores. So not really convenience, right? Because convenience outlets are also expensive. At times could be even more expensive than the hypermarkets per se. So again, it depends on the customers or the retailers that the company is willing to engage with. Right.
They also have this
so-called like
listing fee, right? Listing fees. How much is that?
Listing fee varies, and it could be extremely expensive. So I think there's in some cases you can pay up to, let's say, about 100 ringgit per SKU or even 300 per SKU, right? So again, if you have 10 SKUs, sorry, $3,000, 3,000 ringgit or 3,000 whatever in your own currency, right? So again, if your product is a very low margin, very low volume outlet, low volume SKU or item, would you want to pay that X ringgit or X dollar just to get yourself listed?
Okay.
Right. So again, if you go to a provision outlet, you may skip all this investment because it is, I mean, to a certain extent, is usually free, right?
Okay, to try at least you get the numbers first, so that you have something to fall back and show to the people like Tesco's, all these multi-chains.
Correct. I think end of the day, it's all about availability, and you want availability to be at the fastest pace possible. I mean, what we always call speed to market, right? So if you have a brand new SKU, brand new product, you want it to be available as much as possible, and the fastest way, of course, you go through provisions because the numbers is still very, very big, right? And of course, it's about low investment, as compared to the modern retail. Yeah.
And in terms of, let's say, we have probably you know, like going to Japan, or those are things you see the fast pace, all those are things. How do you compare all these advanced markets in terms of like shop designs, the multi-chain design, so that they can have the standard SOP, but it still remain attractive, like probably like Family Mart, 7-Eleven, all those, and in terms of their individual packaging design. So can you explore a bit on this? Like, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you visit places like Japan or those?
I think if I may just summarize it, I think it is a very exciting market, right? If I walk into the retail environment in Japan, it's very vibrant, right? If I walk into a family mart in Japan, I mean, if I look at the offerings, right, or the portfolios or the range, the assortment, or what usually people call it, yeah, it's vibrant, it's exciting, and it is how to say differentiated, and there's a lot of choices for consumers to choose. Right? Because if you look at the environment in Malaysia right now, if you walk into a convenience outlet, I mean, prior to even Family Mart coming into Malaysia, right, you find that the offerings are pretty standard. The standard routine, boring type of SKUs, type of assortment, right? Where I think if you walk into a provision outlet, you can actually get those SKUs. But if you walk into a Family Mart right now, and even a 7-Eleven right now, you find that the SKUs are coming from all over the world. Not only from Malaysia, but you see a lot of imported items coming in, and that what excites the category, excites the store experience per se. Yeah.
So
I do not know. I mean, from your
in terms of what is your advice? Like, if let's say they want to go in, of course they cannot. First, when they go in, you don't have a big shop to go in terms of design. So what can you do in terms of your packaging? Have you got some advice for them in terms of this packaging?
Well, I think packaging just got to stand out, yeah, because again, is if you are into a convenience outlet where while assortment is supposed to be a lot, but it's still limited due to space, yeah, as compared to a hypermarket. So I think if you're going to list a brand new item, just make sure the packaging got to stand out from everything else. But it's not about packaging alone, yeah. It's also about the support, the launch support, the listing support. How do you make the product sell? You need offtake, right? Because convenience channel is very simple. If the product doesn't sell, they just delist you after probably 6 months, right? So you have that 6 months only to make sure your product actually flies from the shelf, right? So again, I mean, this from my perspective. I don't know, Wei Fung, I mean, you've been to Japan a few times already. What's your thought on this topic? I mean, especially in the retail channel in Japan.
The first thing comes into my mind, of course, is the vibrancy. It's a lot of colors. Then you see a lot of the pricing is not just typical like we get here, is like standardized, like font, that kind of thing. They have very creative fonts, they handwritten, and also the way they put up certain things. And I want the important is like the mascot, the branding, the way they put branding on this, which is we'll talk about it in the next session on the 9th. There we'll bring some a person from all the way from Japan to join us to talk about the branding, where we go zoom in. But pretty much myself, I like to sum it. It's very vibrant. Okay, the way they put it is very unique, personalized, really just from the owner themselves, most of the shops, and also the service. One thing which actually, and what can I feel very thrilled is the way they talk to you. Okay, the service, the attitude, the way they greet you, irashamase, but they really look to you. And also in terms of, I do understand that in when we are doing channel management, back in Sony or those Japanese companies, sometimes we don't just put the product today, we put here, we place it here. Tomorrow we may rearrange a bit so that the customers get a bit slightly, we will say that they'll find it very different. How come the thing I want is not there? They'll take some effort to go and search for the product they want. But at the same time, it gives them the opportunity to look into different products. So like I'm browsing through the website or the e-marketplace, I see the same standard products. They every day for the past few months is the same. It's still there. Yep. Probably I feel that to succeed, they should actually try to change a bit, you know. Just how you mentioned about the combo one, maybe you can try. All these things can try one, okay? And be a bit more personalized. That's the human touch. Sometimes some people are very successful in selling. They actually have this handcrafted, handmade, you know. They just sign off, put it there. So the signing off probably can be your branding in future. And also certain touch that people like, I don't know whether is it very popular or prevalent that even a lot of these shops, they put in some pipe-in music and some smell or those kind of things to enhance the ambience as I sell the impulse buying. Is it true? Do you do that?
Well, I think the five senses definitely helps if there's something to simulate, or sorry, to stimulate those five senses.
Stimulate, yes.
Yeah, stimulate, right? So again, as you see, I mean, because as human beings, we love to see, we love to touch, we love to smell, right? So if the retailer is able to infuse all these five senses into it, of course, it will definitely help, right? Because again, I mean, let's just take for example, if you walk into a bakery, right, and you can smell the aroma from the bread, the freshly baked bread, don't you want to already buy it, right? By looking at it, you say, wow, it looks good. By smelling it, you already want to buy it, right? So again, it definitely helps. I agree with you.
What about the sampling? All those are things I don't really see in a lot of sellers online, but we do see that a lot because like last time we also do quite a number of projects involving all those big brands in the hypermarts, right? So we actually throw in a lot of free sample, all those are things to the customer. Is it a wastage? Do you think?
Really no, I don't think it's a wastage. It is definitely a good way to get your product to be tried by the consumer for the first time, right? Of course, prior to the pandemic, that is something that most manufacturers will actually do, right? But because of pandemic and because of all the lockdown, this type of we call it wet sampling activities are no longer in place.
Where? Can you repeat that? What sampling?
This is exercise what we call wet sampling, right? Where we actually serve the customers or the consumers fresh products, right? Could be eggs, could be yogurt drinks, could be ice cream, right? Things that can be tried and eaten and consumed on the spot. Yeah, but because of the pandemic, because of lockdown, you find that a lot of retailers are not doing that anymore. A lot of manufacturers are also stopping all these activities.
Again, if you are in, okay. Then the other thing is the so-called what do you foresee in the short term, 3 months to 6 months down the road? So do you think this pandemic thing will continue to be a burden? Or where, if let's say I only have this much of money, let's say $200-300, where should I spend it to boost which channel?
Well, again, I mean, you're looking at context of availability or context of sampling.
In terms of anything. If just because I get this a lot, there's this question coming in. Yeah, I can see it that they ask like, if I only have this much, $50 or $100, that kind of thing. Okay, in terms of ringgit, probably 200-300 ringgit, that kind of thing. Where should I spend this? Should I try and start doing the packaging or sampling or whatsoever? Is there something?
Well, I think if you don't really have a lot of budget, well, again, I think if you only have 200-300 ringgit or dollars to start with, it's going to be very difficult to even do anything, right? But if you're going to be 200,000 to 300,000 ringgit or dollars, then again, is of course, first thing first, you need to go into availability, getting yourself distributed, and number two, of course, making sure that you have support during the launch period, the listing period, because you need to get your products to the minds of the consumers, right? And consumers nowadays, they have plenty of choices, right? And it is very cluttered as a category. It's very cluttered in the trade.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is very important. Making sure that you have a very clear integrated communication plan in place, right? So that you can get your product's message to the minds of the consumers, right? And whenever they see those messages and they want to purchase, that's where you need to make sure that your products are available. Because if tomorrow they walk into a park and mom shop, they walk into convenience, they walk into a hypermarket, the product is available, and that's what you want. Because end of the day, it's about that conversion, right? You need to get the product to the hands of the consumers, not only to the mind, but to the hands of consumers, so that they can try out, they can consume. Yeah.
Okay. But if for me, I think I'll ask them to, with that much of money, probably you just buy like 100 small sample products just to pack in together a new flavor or whatsoever to give your existing customers. They want to make a purchase, it's something surprise. It's a surprise to them. Because back then when we are handling channels, besides they know what the commission they're getting, okay, the resellers, people are selling on your beat for you. You'll know what the basic commission they are getting. There'll always be something additional for limited for that month. It can be something limited offering to them. And thirdly, we have something called blind. So at the end of the year, okay, probably near New Year or Christmas, that time, we actually give them a surprise. Something like they probably get flight tickets to somewhere. Okay, this on my side. the experience. So actually, we have roughly come to the end of the talk, because this is gonna be a short one. And for those who like to know more and like to, we have a navigate series, but more of a program. Okay, these are program where this is targeted at professionals and market leaders who want to build businesses. Okay, so maybe Gerald, you can share a bit on this program.
Well, basically, this is actually a business growth program, right? Where again is if you are in either a startup or could be in an enterprise, yeah, small medium enterprise, whatever not, right? Where you need help or you need guidance or you need coaching in terms of how to grow your brand, scale your businesses. This is definitely a series that you should, explore. Yeah, you should sign up, right? Because there'll be a lot of tips, especially from a sales and marketing point of view. Yeah, in building a brand from ground zero or building even an established brand and challenge the number one or even the market player, right? Again, I will be sharing real experience and also success stories. I think will be similar from Wei Fung's point of view, yeah, which is valuable in that sense, right?
Okay, then we will have a on the 9th, same time, 8 o'clock. We're bringing to you on brand management to catch up with us during then. And with that, I'd like to end the show. And for those who have more questions, okay, I believe we actually intercede and try to address to you on that already, some of the questions being raised. So if you have further, you want to explore certain things, please talk to us. Okay, and remember to join us on the next week for the brand management. So Gerald, any last words?
No, I have none. Again, I think today is just a short session, yeah, just to share with you all in terms of how you can actually grow your channels and which will be the channel that you should be focusing on. Again, right. I always like to stress that it very much depends on your company's own objective and strategies. Yeah.
Okay, with that, thank you for your time and Kapung Kap from Thailand. Okay, and also thanks Gerald for sharing, spending time with us and sharing from your experiences. I very much appreciate it. I'll look forward to next week with you as well as the other special guest all the way from Japan. All right, see you guys. Take care. Stay safe. Bye.